Hello, everybody, and welcome to the OB Builders Cup Series, Round 7, the Paradigm 260, live from virtual Michigan International Raceway. I'm Sheldon Atkins, joining the booth side by side with Taylor Burris, and down in the production truck this evening is going to be Austin Derbyshire. And what we're looking at here is a beautiful 2-mile facility with a little bit of a different taste to the racing action that we've seen in these next-gen cars this season as we get the overhead view up. Taylor, what can you tell me here about the Michigan International Speedway?
Well, we are here at this beautiful 2-mile circuit, opened back in 1968, 18 degrees of banking over there in the corners, and this is going to be exciting to see how these drivers are going to be able to negotiate around this 2-mile circuit. Drivers are going to have to find every which way they can in order to find the optimum grip in order to take home the checkered flag, but watch out for some craziness. As we saw earlier this week on our broadcast here at Grid Vision on Wednesday, a lot of things can happen.
Yeah, a lot of things for sure as we look at the championship standings here. Patrick Gitter on top of the board right now with Justin Levine in second. Levine getting dethroned from the top of the point standings here in the last week after Nashville. Derek Heitman sitting third, followed by Brandon Pasalacqua and Joseph Kazi rounding out the top five. The main thing I'm going to be keeping my eye on, though, is Sean Conklin up there to 12th in points already after missing the first handful of races, already up in 12th and on a 4-race hot streak. So who's going to dethrone the king himself here this week?
Looking through the rest of the championship, a lot of drivers need a lot of work to do in order to work their way through. Drivers like Matt DeCiani, Adam Benefield, Joseph Gulata, who had some strong runs throughout the season, but yet have not been able to capitalize with wins or strong average finishes of a top 5 or top 10.
Absolutely. Now, it's going to be an interesting night here tonight because, I've run a handful of races here this week and noticed you can't really break away from the draft, so to figure out how to break away from it, at least I'm going to hand it over to Taylor Burris with the keys to the race.
Absolutely, and we're going to talk a little bit about multi-groove racing here. This track, you can run right against that bottom line. You can run right up against the wall and stick right to the middle. We're going to see drivers using every which way they can in order to capitalize on their best optimal line and conserve their tires. Finally, you want to know here, you got to know how to see the air. Be that air bender to where you could be able to side draft your competitors, pull them back behind you, utilize the draft to get a nice run down the straightaways here and be able to make quick adjustments in order to make it through the corner. And also, as we saw on Wednesday night with the NIS event, you don't want to be certain drivers who get a little too over aggressive, especially in the early stages of the race. A lot of racing here tonight. Be careful, be patient, and you could end up with a finish.
And now we're going to pull up the Grid Vision broadcast picks here for the evening. And, man, we were talking about over-aggressive drivers, but one that looks like he's reining himself in a little bit, I got to go with that 37 machine of Colby Jackson. Ran a few races with him earlier this week, and he definitely seems like he's starting to get a good hang for the racecraft side of things, and interesting to see what he can do here tonight. How about you, Taylor?
Well, I'm going to go with a driver who's had a pretty decent run of it this year in 2025, and that's Patrick Gitter in that number 21 machine. Keep an eye on him. He's always finds his way to work his way up to the front.
And in the production booth, looks like Darby's going to go with the Redemption Tour here with Roger Pierce, hoping to pick up where he was trying to leave off last night before he got intentionally dumped by somebody. Either way, as the cars are on the grid, we're going to roll up and take a quick peek at the starting grid. And sitting on the pole right now, Joseph Gulata in the 98 machine with Roger Pierce is outside. Starting third, it's going to be Patrick Gitter with Tim Wortman starting fourth. Fifth place is going to be Sean Conklin with Chris Vincent in sixth, followed by Tommy Gossett in seventh, and Paul Bergoli the outside in eighth. Ninth place, we're going to have Paul Hill. Then rounding out the top 10, going to be Jared Feldman.
Starting in 11th position from Harmony, Minnesota is Josh Schaffner, followed by Colby Jackson from Lottie, Florida. In 13th position is Brandon Pasalacqua from Seneca Falls, New York, with Rock Island, Tennessee's Lou Christian in 14th. In 15th position is from Council Bluff, Iowa, is Derek Heitman, with Brooklyn, New York's Justin Levine in 16th. 17th position is Chris Davis, followed by Oshaka, Wisconsin's John Binder there in 18th. Joseph Kazi from Miami, Florida will be in 19th, rounding out your top 20 from Las Vegas, Nevada, Richard Kleinman.
And in 21st place, we got Chris Hudson with Matt DeCiani in 22nd. 23rd, going to be Adam Benefield. That's going to be one to keep your eyes on, with Paul Gallimore in 24th. 25th place, going to be Darren Mullins with Randy Belk to his outside in 26th. Next row, we're going to have Chad Kibbe to the inside in 27th, with Chris Crosby in 28th. 29th place off the grid is going to be Alexander Carr with Shane Clore rounding out the top 30. And to close out the field, we're going to have the astronaut himself, Austin Edstrom, in 31st, with Brian Johnson in 32nd. 33rd place going to be Greg Carr and Joshua Hyatt. Shotgun on the field in 34th. These cars take to the track here. Another one-lap pace lap. There's going to be a lot of interesting names to see work their way through because we got a lot of fast cars sitting a little bit further in the field. Sitting in 16th. That's going to be one to keep your eyes on, too. Justin Levine, this place, may not be a super speedway by the standard sense of things, but the way the package works has a lot of those Daytona and Talladega tendencies, especially with the pack racing and the inability to really work yourself through without having a little bit of help. So that's going to be it's going to be an interesting one to keep your eyes on. Now, field working itself down the back straightaway in the oh-so-capable hands of Joseph Gulata and Roger Pierce. Long race this evening, too. 130 laps. These guys managed to keep it clean. They can go by in what feels like the blink of an eye, but if it goes like it did last night, we could see a little bit of a mid-race grind to get to a green flag run. But currently, pace car lights out, coming out turn 4, taking the steep descent down pit road. These guys slowly work their way up 70 miles an hour into the starting zone. Into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is in the air. Joseph Gulata with a little bit of an advantage, getting a good push from the 21 machine of Patrick Gitter, but the outside line still staying strong as Roger Pierce not giving an inch down into turn number 1. Going to get right up on the door of the 98 machine. Gulata gets a little bit of a slide into turn 1, but able to keep it straight. They're going to be side by side coming down the backstretch. Out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. The outside line starting to prevail with a little bit more momentum. Here comes Roger Pierce to take away the lead, and everybody leaves Joseph Gulata out to dry on the inside lane as Patrick Gitter tucks up behind the 28 machine of Wortman Jr. And Gulata gets a little bit loose down there on the bottom, starts to loose the tail on the car. Led at the start, though, but it falls into the hands of Roger Pierce. Roger Pierce is going to lead lap 1. And with a nice push from the 28 machine of Wortman, but now here comes the 21 machine of Gitter diving down to the yellow into turn 1. Trying to get himself up to the quarter panel, not able to do it, but going to have a really good run out of the corner. Big push from Wortman, but everything will be kind of static up here at the front. Here comes Joseph Gulata now trying to make a pass on the 10 machine of Sean Conklin. Conklin from the outside lane going to pull a bit of side draft out of turn 4. And since Conklin has the advantage of having cars tucked in behind him and right in front of him, he's going to be able to get the run down into turn 1. And basically blow the doors off of the 98 machine. As you see Gulata now trying to go to the top to get back in tow with the 33 machine of Vincent. Colby Jackson trying to make a move on the 12 machine of Paul Bergoli down the back straightaway. The inside line definitely difficult to make those passes. It's difficult to make them really work. Lose a lot of momentum running down there towards the flat. Lap 4 on the board, still in the hands of Roger Pierce with Patrick Gitter tucked in line behind him. Gitter gets a huge shove from Gulata, though, going to take it to the bottom, and Gulata's going to try and take it to the top. Roger Pierce kind of would be stuck in the middle, but not quite. Still has the advantage coming out of turn 2. Gulata going to pick up a spot here, though, and get right up to the back bumper of the 27 machine. Now Gulata trying to make it look to the outside to take the lead. Going to come down, pull a bit of side draft off the 27 machine of Roger Pierce, and he's going to take it out of turn number 4. Joseph Gulata took him a handful of laps, but he's finally going to get that first lap led of the evening. They fanning out into turn 1 here, trying to pick up scraps, trying to pick up positions. We got Colby Jackson working the outside lane, trying to get the run on the 28 machine of Tim Wortman Jr. down the back stretch. And he's going to take the position away here into turn 3. But what does Wortman have on the bottom line? Is he going to be able to key it up and get a good launch here through the corner? Looks like he's going to try for it. as we look at Justin Levine, who's come from all the way in the mid-pack up to second place, up 14 spots from his starting position already. Only took him 5 laps to get up there. And here comes Patrick Gitter with a look down to the bottom on the inside of Roger Pearson at turn 1. Patrick Gitter going to take away the spot from Pierce. You can tell Pierce is on a bit of a tire-saving strategy right now. Otherwise, he'd be up here scrapping and clawing with the rest of these guys. Pierce falling back to 4th position now as he worked on the back straightaway. Justin Levine trying to pull the 98 machine of Joseph Gulata in closer. Messed up with my J's over here. Also, we have Taylor Burris back in the booth here. What's up, buddy?
Sorry about all of that, but we're back at it. We had a little technical difficulties here at the mains house here as we watch Gulata and Levine battle it out for that top 2 spot, though. Everyone, though, further back, it is 3, 4, 5 wide racing action amongst the competitors as they rocket off a turn 2.
Tim Wortman gets caught in the sucker hole there. Loses a spot or 2 down the back straightaway. And that right there, that's such a dodgy place to be. I've ran a handful of races this week, and once you get 3 wide in the middle here, man, it just feels like you're going nowhere fast.
You really do, and you have to be careful of where you place your car around this circuit. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to get around here as we watch these drivers going 2, 3, almost 4 wide as they go back to single file as they approach towards turn number 1. A couple of drivers stay tucked down towards the bottom of the racetrack here as they try to build up some momentum to get themselves ready for a run into 1 as they almost go back 4 wide.
The guy kind of on the move right now, up from 19th into 6th place. Joseph Causey in the 88 DeWalt Power Tools machine. Good run for him at the start of this thing too. So both of these One Sim hot rods definitely hauling the mail here this evening from Michigan.
Absolutely. As the field works their way around the circuit here, you're going to see how these drivers negotiate around this circuit. As we watch there, you see Levine and company, followed by Joseph Causey in this pack as they try to go single file, trying to find that opening. Causey goes to the top side of the racetrack to try to build some momentum. He's got some help from a couple of other drivers right behind.
But that help doesn't really... The thing I've noticed is the help doesn't really seem to last that long here though this week. Unless you got a teammate behind you, everybody's really selfish. The track position is so important here. Especially the way that once you get about 5th, 6th, 7th on back, you just kind of end up in a logjam of cars that can't get away from each other. And everybody wants to race harder for those positions than it seems they do with the lead.
They certainly do as they work their way back into the front straightaway across into turn number 1. There you see that 76 machine of Heitman trying to get himself rolling against the 33 of Vincent as we go back up towards the front as Conklin is on the attack to try to get his way around Joseph Causey.
Not just on the attack, it just about made door contact coming out of turn 2. Everybody able to keep it off each other, though, and keep it going in the right direction. That could have been a dicey moment, though, coming down the back straightaway, especially in front of this many cars. As we look a little bit further back, Kobe Jackson still trying to make the outside line work around Paul Hill on the front straightaway here. And it looks like it's, well, if he hadn't tapped the wall, but yes, he does. The Tic Tac Terror is going to take over the spot from the 26 machine down into 1. Oh, and Kobe Jackson will tag the fence again out of turn 2. That one looked like a little bit stronger of a blow than what we saw in 1 and out in the front straightaway. And Paul Bergoli doing the best he can to fight to the inside line here on the 76 of Heitman, but not able to make it stick. Paul Bergoli going to fall back in the line behind Heitman. And right now, Joseph Gulata's got the biggest lead I've seen all week. A couple car links separating him from Justin Levine.
Real good fight here as we watch a little bit further back there. You see the 13 machine trying to work his way through as they're single file for the most part inside the top 10 as the drivers trying to negotiate around the circuit so far. A little bit of side-by-side action further back in the field as we watch them work their way into turn 3 and 4. That is the 23 machine who's stuck on the outside with Josh Hoffner right there in position on the bottom.
So we're noticing that it seems like Darren Mullins might be having a little bit of a connection issues. We see a little bit of 3-wide action happening further in the pack here. Looks like that is... trying to get my eyes on it here. Because Old iRacing is giving me a fit right now. This is great. It's the 18 machine of Alexander Carr. DeCiani also trying to come into play here. As you look a bit further up, there's John Bender. Right behind Tim Wortman Jr., there's Josh Schaffner. Paradigm Cars looking pretty stout this week. Another big mover that I'm seeing, though, is here's that the 83 machine of Adam Benefiel coming from the tail end of the field all the way up to 19th now. So good haul for him here in the early laps from Michigan.
Yeah, really good run after starting tail end Charlie just about. He's going to gather it up and run for a top 20. And we know for a fact with a driver like Benefield, he's always going to find his way up towards the front of the field before this race is. One of the longest tenured veterans of eNASCAR competition, looking to see what he can do there in the Team Conti 83.
Oh, and this track is a track, too, that falls so deep in his wheelhouse. I remember back in the day in the B car, as you see Joseph Gulata take away getting into a fight now. Here comes Patrick Gitter looking down to the inside to try and take away the lead from the 98 machine. All the way down against the flat almost through 1 and 2. Down on the flatter end of the banking makes it a little more difficult to make this pass as opposed to what you'd see at a normal track. As they come down the back straightaway, loses a little bit of momentum. Here comes Gulata using the outside lane to his advantage to try and pull away, but back into 3 and 4. It's going to be Gitter to the inside again. And Justin Levine sitting there in the middle trying to pick up the scraps.
Yeah, Levine do it.
I don't think Gitter's got enough to get the job done right now. I think he's going to need a little bit of a helping hand from somebody behind him here on the straightaway.
Yeah, Gulata's doing a great job with that outside momentum, plus help from the draft from both Levine and Roger Pierce. That's going to keep him up front for the moment, but Patrick Gitter is trying every which way he can to try to get that inside lane, the shortest way around the circuit, going for him, as we saw Gulata tap the wall a little bit right there off turn 2. He's got to have
a huge check-up.
Big time.
Huge check-up from Levine. Almost opens the door up for Gitter. It was just about clear for about a half a second, but Gulata was able to get a push from the 19 machine to get him going back in the right direction. But Patrick Gitter is going to send it down and throw a slider into 3. Patrick Gitter, now your race leader.
And we're 3 wide right there for the third position. Levine on the top, Pierce in the middle, and then Sean Conklin right there on the bottom of the racetrack as they battle. Levine gets that third spot, but here comes Conklin and Pierce with a big head of steam as we're going to almost go 4 wide off turn 2, as now Levine gets a little bit too loose right there. He's still able to keep his throttle in it and hold on to position for the time being, but he will move to P2. Pierce trying to follow through. Gulata shuts the door on him.
Roger Pierce trying to work the outside line, pull a little bit of side draft off the 98 machine. Looks like the 27 finally dialed into where he wants to be on these tires to actually make a stab for the lead. As Patrick Gitter gets huge loose, and Colby Jackson slams the fence out of turn 4, chases it all the way down the hill. That was almost a huge wreck, but now for the lead, here comes Roger Pierce to the inside of the 21 and Gitter.
Here he comes down to the bottom. The redemption arc for Roger Pierce may come into play. Big loose time as he comes up and gathers it back up. That allows Gitter
he's
to
still
cross
chasing
him.
it.
He is. He's still chasing it. That'll allow Gitter and Sean Conklin to go around and leaves Levine hanging out to dry and losing a couple of spots because here comes Gulata and Joseph Kazi.
And Pierce has been fast all week, but that's been the one thing that has been kind of the kryptonite for him, is trying to make that slide job stick coming through the corners to get the lead away from the outside lane. As you see, he kind of gets snookered here now as the 10 machine of Sean Conklin going to get to the front here on the bottom lane and try to make a stab at the lead. And at the stripe last time, Sean Conklin had it. Now through 1 and 2, is he going to be able to clear Gitter? Looks like he's just going to be able to if he can pedal it up the track in time.
He is able to. He keeps it nice and stable and now gets a nice big push there from Patrick Gitter down the back straightaway, which allows him to maintain the race lead for the moment. Here comes Levine with a big head of steam. You're on board with your race leader, Sean Conklin, and that number 10 machine. As here comes Pierce trying to snooker his way through the middle. Gets a little bit loose.
Pierce is so loose.
That is so issues right there, and he's got to gather it back up. Lose a spot to Justin Levine for third. Pierce slides right in front of Joseph Gulata to maintain that 4th position for the moment.
I'll tell you what, Pierce is really fighting on both ends of the track right now with the 27 machine. Been a couple moments. If it was a lesser talented driver, man, that car would have been around already. But Pierce, always good at throwing these things sideways and keeping them in the right direction.
Yeah, he's doing a great job of holding on for position as Gitter gets a little bit of loose entering into the corner as we watch him. Levine is also a little further, and then there you see Roger Pierce under immense pressure as he tries to pick up a couple of more spots as Paul Hill and Colby Jackson start to get in and amongst this mixed battle here for position.
It was such a unique racetrack we have here. I mean, these cars hitting about 201 miles an hour at the start of a run into turn one. It's cool to see that we can still go fast here, even in the next gen cars. We got a 3-wide battle down the back straightaway with Derek Heitman stuck in the middle. All the way up at the top of the track, Colby Jackson. As you see, I think it's the 26 machine tucking line behind these guys.
Looks like to be the case here as we watch these drivers battle it out. Levine and Pierce still holding strong. How about Colby Jackson dropping down to the bottom of the racetrack there in order to get a good run? He's got the big Mo on his side as he tries to get around Derek Heitman for the 6th spot, and we'll try to just
But a contact
a little bit, try to side draft and pull him back, but it's not going to work. Heitman holds on as the 33 of Chris Vincent comes into play.
And yeah, Colby definitely struggling to make that inside line work, but he's trying, and that's something you got to give him. Not one to settle in line and, you know, play the same game everybody else is playing. He's in for himself, trying to get everything out of that car as he possibly can.
Doing everything he can to try to gather themselves back up to make another run here as they work their way down the front straightaway. You have the driver of Colby Jackson leading that inside lane. Everybody else staying up towards the top side of the racetrack here. Tommy Gossett right there behind the 26 machine of Paul Hill. And then you got, of course, the driver of Paul Bergoli right there in the hunt as they spread back out to 2-3 wide action off turn number 2. And so far, no changes. Heitman trying to hold off Joseph Kazi for position. Not going to work out for him this time as they head down the back straightaway into turn 3. Oh, just shuts the door right on Derek Heitman, gathers it back up and continues on. But Joseph Kazi just being very defensive, trying to hold back the competition.
Tell you what, through 3 and 4, it's not as big of an issue when they shut the door on you like that. But 1 and 2, it is so difficult because it feels like 1 and 2, you just hit that dirty air from the car in front of you, and it pushes you all the way up, all the way through the corner. And you really got to jump out of the throttle to get the nose to set right on the car.
You really do, and it's so critical for that in order to make that car stay planted on the racetrack instead of going up the track like we've seen or going sideways like we've seen from several drivers this early on in the stage as they go back to 3 wide action.
Right now, Justin Levine all the way up against the marbles here through 3 and 4, trying to find some kind of momentum to pull him past the 27 machine of Roger Pierce. Not able to get much of it right now, though. Everybody just kind of locked in. So difficult when you got that car in front of you that punches such a big hole of air down these straightaways to really make a move without having somebody there to help you. So we got 3 wide again out of turn 2. Yep. Joseph Kazi all the way down the bottom. Yes, it is. He's going to tuck back in line, thinks better of it down the back straightaway. Derek Heitman not giving up on the inside lane, though, trying to make a move on the 27 machine of Roger Pierce through 3 and 4.
Ooh, Tommy Gossett also getting a little too close for comfort there with Paul Hill in the 26 just right behind them as they work their way through. But now back to single file for your top 6. Kazi thinks about going to the bottom of the racetrack once again. The challenge for position of Derek Heitman. Now they're going to go even lower to try to get around Justin Levine and Roger Pierce as Gossett shoots out of a cannon to come around and pick up some spots. Almost makes contact with Kazi.
Yeah, starting to get dicey up here at the front of the pack. Right on board with Tommy Gossett down into 3 and 4 to the inside of the 26 machine of Hill. All the way up against the yellow here for Gossett. I'm going to look past the fact that he's running a FedEx car right now. Oh dear, Denny. Good run for Gossett, carving his way through traffic to get up here to the front too. 27 laps into the race. This is where it really matters. This is where it's go time. You know, this is where everybody's got what they've got when it comes to tires. So you can see Tommy's doing a great job managing the equipment he has underneath him this week.
Work their way through into turn 3 and 4, and as they do so, there you see these drivers starting to work their way through. We've been seeing that multi-groove racing coming into play as here comes Tommy Gossett to the inside of Joseph Kazi. He makes contact. That almost causes Kazi to get up into the 26 of Paul Hill. All of them give way and try to see what they can do. Kazi really stuck in the middle this time as he tries to find a way to get around and hold on to position, but it's not going to work. And here comes Gossett with a run to get in the clutches of Justin Levine.
Oh,
as Kazi, not clear yet. Oh my goodness. Inches separated him from the nose of the 26 of Paul Hill.
I don't even think you could fit a credit card between those two cars coming out of turn 2. That was as close to an incident as you could possibly get, but both of them managing to give each other just barely enough room to get the job done. As we look now, Derek Heitman looking to the inside of Roger Pierce, not able to find anything. Tucks back in line behind the 27 machine, gets the push from the 19 to Levine down the front straightaway. He's going to try and dive out again into 1. Opting to stay up on the outside line here, maybe trying to steal the top away from the 27 to Roger Pierce. If you're trying to get the move done, that's the way you want to do it. You just have to get the opportunity, but Justin Levine goes around off of the nose. Looks like, oh man, just barely able to get the thing back under control, but it looked like Tommy Gossett went around with him.
I see Tommy Gossett. He's still up there in the top 11 right now. He lost some positions.
They're still wrecking in the back of the pack. Adam Benefiel and Colby Jackson come together out of turn 4. Huge crash on the front straightaway. We are under caution here on the Speedway. As we take another glimpse here at what happened to Levine and Gossett out of turn 2. Oh, no, here we are. Here's the caution for incident. The incident for the caution. Adam Benefiel and Colby. Adam just gets so loose on the bottom, and it's like a little bit of net code maybe between the two of them, and that was just enough to send them both around. Rough break for both of them. These guys were sitting around 16th, 17th.
Colby's got a little bit of damage there to the nose. Benefiel, I think, has a little bit more significant damage as well, so that's going to be detrimental for the handling of both of those cars. Ooh, there you see right there, Benefiel just gets that big wiggle.
And that net code, if it wasn't for the net code, that incident wouldn't have happened in the first place.
Absolutely.
But you see how Benefiel was able to catch it right after. You see Luke Christian going for the sympathy spin as well in the 3 machine, and a hard hit against the inside wall for him. On board with Luke Christian here to see what happened. Caution is already out on the track here too. Just wrecking front and just goes for this best Cole Trickle impression, and kind of worked out the same way it did in the Firecracker 400 for Cole Trickle, but able to get the thing back in the right direction before he hit the wall. So no real issue for Lou. Just got a little extra heat in the tires before he comes down pit road to put on 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. Sean Conklin, Patrick Gitter, and Roger Pierce winning the race off pit road over Derek Heitman and Paul Hill, rounding out the top 5. Coming off pit road 6, going to be Brandon Passalacqua, followed by Joseph Causey. Yeah. It's pretty interesting to get a long green flag run here. My brain is kind of racked after what I've seen the past handful of days. Because Michigan has been a crap show, to say the least, this year, but I'm impressed. How about you, Taylor?
Very impressive after the first 30 laps here, and we're just now 100 laps left to go in the race. But overall, for how much racing and aggression was there with the multi-grooves of racing we saw, surprised we didn't see a caution sooner with how close they were.
There was a couple moments, too, where it absolutely should have been a caution coming out for somebody making a mistake, but these guys doing a great job here in the OB Builders Cup Series to give each other the working room that they need to be able to make it around the track and at least survive. Right now, Adam Benefiel rolling the car off of pit road, still taking repairs in the 83 machine. A lot of damage to the right front still, so it looks like he's going to unfortunately have to wait for this caution cycle and hope for another if he wants to get that car back on track to potentially having the pace to get a good finish out of it this evening. Jackson looking pretty all right now, though. Absolutely. Damage doesn't look to be too bad.
No, not too much. He's coming down pit road, though, to service some more damage there before they come down. Right now, the leaders are exiting off turn 2, so he has a little bit of time, but not a whole lot left.
Oh, I don't know about you, but on that second caution lap, I never come down and fix damage because I just know I'm gonna get caught a lap down.
Absolutely, yeah, no, it's best to just go ahead and try to fix it under caution as long as you can, and once that 1 to go signal's out, don't worry about coming down pit road. Just pray for another caution.
Either that or busted for speeding. Million and one things. Million and one ways you can mess that up. Hopefully it works out well for Colby here, but lights are out on the iRacing pace cars who work through 3 and 4. Race falling itself into the hands of Sean Conklin and Patrick Gitter at the end of that run. Hope we don't have a caution, breed caution scenario, but pace car takes a swift descent down pit road. These guys lined up side by side in the OB Builders restart zone. Green flag in the air. Sean Conklin gets a good launch here, separating himself about 2-3 car lengths from his teammate there in Roger Pierce. Go up to the top line here. That's going to pull Patrick Gitter along with him. Derek Heitman takes a look to the top, but tucks back in line behind the 21 machine of Patrick Gitter. And everybody looking like they're going to make it through 1 and 2 here, nice and clean. As Sean Conklin comes up the track to take the push from the 21 machine of Patrick Gitter down into 3.
Everyone giving a nice big push here, and that allows Derek Heitman to go to the top side. Everyone sticking towards the bottom, a couple going to that middle groove, including the driver who makes his return up to the front of the field, Brandon Pascaluca, who is now sitting there in the 4th spot as he gets a big run down the front straightaway. He goes back behind Patrick Gitter. Here comes the driver of Jarrett Feltman, also with a big head of steam in that KMT Ford Mustang. Side by side. Oh, a little contact between Pierce and the 26 of Paul Hill. He gathers it back up, but that is going to be some close racing action. We are still green as they just jockey around for position with those fresh Goodyear tires.
The car that's really worked his way into the picture here, seemingly out of nowhere, is that 12 machine of Feltman. This right here, this could be one of those tracks where he could be one of the determining, sorry, the 29 machine. I'm used to covering him in the 12 because that's what he runs in open. But that's one of those guys that could really stir the mix here as we get into the closing laps, as we see a deep dive down to the bottom, and Patrick Gitter gets hung out to dry up top here temporarily as Derek Heitman dives to the inside line to take away the lead, but here comes Brandon Passalacqua trying to make a move as well. From hero to zero in about a matter of seconds, going to shove the 21 machine of Patrick Gitter further into the pack. And Sean Conklin also falling like a stone here, back to about 6th, 7th spot. Here goes Passalacqua trying to make the outside line work to get past the 76 machine of Derek Heitman through 3 and 4. And based on what I've seen all week, I think that's going to be the winning combination here, as Passalacqua just barely edges him out here at the start-finish line for the lead of lap 35.
Theo now works their way back into turn 1 and 2 right now as they're side-by-side for the race lead. Pascaluca as well as Derek Heitman still jockeying around for that race lead here. Then it's still 2 by 2 by 2, a little further back. Now drops back to single file for the most part, except for the 2 cars of Conklin. And it looks like also the 98 of Gulata trying to find their way down on the bottom of the racetrack. Gulata trying to find his way with help from Conklin. Not going to work out for them as they continue to fall further behind. And Joseph Kazi now trying to work his way forward.
Joseph Causey falling out a little bit here on the inside line as teammates are in tow on the top with Chris Vincent and Feltman. Make it hard for the 88 machine to really go forward here for the time being, unless he can get up there and separate those two. So they're showing a little bit of commitment to each other as we got a battle for the lead still going down here. The 76 machine of Derek Heitman going to take it away from Passalacqua down the back straightaway. Passalacqua now hung out to dry on the inside line as he goes toe-to-toe with Paul Hill in the 26 machine. Down to 3.
So far, so good as Derek Heitman continues to lead the laps here. And there you see Paul Hill with a big run. He looks to the inside, thinks better of it. He's going to stay tucked up behind him as they work their way through, hitting speeds of 200 miles an hour before having to let off the gas a little bit there before entering turn 1. And as they build that speed back up, they're trying to find their way to hold on for dear life as they come off turn 2. A couple of them nearly nicking the outside wall, which here at Michigan, Sheldon, is so critical because that wall off turn 2 can easily snatch you real quickly and you're in trouble.
Yeah, it can grab you quick, and the problem is when it grabs you, it doesn't want to let you go. And you lose a whole bunch of momentum once you grab the fence here because these straightaways just so long compared to most of the tracks we go to. It's about, I'd say, what, 2/3 of your lap here is just straightaway, it feels like. You only lose so much time.
Absolutely.
So the 43 machine trying to make moves on the 27 of Roger Pierce here through 1 and 2.
Yeah, Chris Hudson, a longtime competitor in multiple different leagues. I've seen him competing in series such as Precision Racing League, a well-known staple, and knows how to get his way up through the field here in multiple different disciplines of racing. We'll see him fight his way up into the top 10 before it's all said and done as he tries to look to the inside of Josh Schnafter there as we watch Roger Pierce trying to fight his way back up to the field on the bottom with help from DeCiani and Justin Levine.
Right now watching the P51 Mustang go against it with the corn machine. Just a little bit further back, here's Tim Wortman Jr. right behind Chris Crosby, and then the 5 machine of DeCiani working the inside line here. Bit of jockeying for position further back in the pack. And a little bit of contact between Crosby and Hudson down into turn 3. That was almost a dicey moment. Both drivers going to keep it in the right direction, though, as they try to work their way past Schaffner, who lost a whole bunch of momentum through 3 and 4, and the tail end still not setting on the 50 machines as we work down the front straightaway.
Yeah, that big loss of momentum is going to be detrimental for him as he is going to lose more and more positions here as here comes Levine and DeCiani as they try to make the charge on Schaffner. But Chris Hudson just shuts the door in front of him, as well as the Gray Ghost machine of that 28 of Tim Wortman Jr., who makes contact to the outside wall as well. Gathers it back up, still keeps his foot on the gas, but loses a ton of time up ahead as they try to gather it back up as Schaffner battles back on the inside.
Also somebody that's been moving big time today, too. Up 21 spots from where he started. Sitting in P10, Austin Esterman, the 87 car. Just about shotgun on the field to start this thing off. Honestly, I was wondering if he registered and didn't show up to the track, but taking a quick look through here to see what our, Grid Vision colleague is doing this evening. A pretty good run for the Rocket Man so far.
Yeah,
look at that astronaut there, Burris.
Yeah, that.
Did you know he worked for NASA?
I did not know he worked for NASA. But Rocket Man's really going at it here as he tries to work his way through for the Huntsville, Alabama native.
I didn't even know they let people from Alabama near rocket ships. It's you learn something new every day.
I mean, it's a danger. It's a lot of trust that goes into play there for those from Huntsville, Alabama.
I hope to God we get to interview him because I want to hear him roast you for that one later.
Well, as the field works their way down the back straightaway, we will see Chris Vinson right there in the 4th spot, just biding his time a little bit, not wanting to push the envelope on drivers like Jarrett Feltman. But here comes Paul Hill, who's like, thank you very much. I'll send it in deep and try to make the pass while Mr.
I think that might have been a little bit of teammate collaboration there.
Letting them go and not realizing, hey, there's someone else coming barreling down on you.
That was a big checkup there for Feltman, and I think he was just letting Vincent go by. I think that the two of them were talking about how they weren't getting anything done where they're at right now, and Vincent probably feels like he's a little bit faster at the moment. And Feltman right now trying to hold off position with the 26 machine of Paul Hill, but as everybody's kind of single-filed and everything's kind of tapered down here for the moment, we're going to head off to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back to bring you more of the OB Builders Cup Series action here on the grid.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And welcome back, and we'll skip the formalities here as we have a battle for the lead. Brandon Pasalacqua diving down to the inside of Derek Heitman to take away the point here, and a little bit of a side draft into turn number one, going to take it. Now can he complete the slide? Just barely, and it's going to kind of lock the 76 machine of Heitman out as Chris Vincent able to capitalize on the jockey from position up here at the front of the pack, and he's going to take over second spot. A little bit of contact down to three. Now we're three wide with Feltman trying to squirt it around the top.
Close
that
call.
That was almost a wreck.
That was almost a wreck. Almost what we saw a little bit ago here as the drivers now space themselves out. Still three wide for the battle for third now as they work their way across the start-finish line. It's Pasaluca, Vincent, and Feltman, your top three, as Heitman tries to battle it back with Joseph Kazi right there in the hunt as well, who sends it in deep to try to get around for third and will complete the pass on both Heitman and Feltman for position.
And that's how bad it is. Once you lose the lead and lose that little bit of momentum, it's just a freight train back to about fifth or sixth place, wherever you can find the hole to put the car. As you see Joseph Kazi now trying to work down to the inside here of Heitman. Just barely clear, but can't get in because the 29 machine of Feltman is there. And he finds his way in. Always a stressful moment there when you're trying to complete a slide job and you see somebody else's quarter panel right where your front bumper ought to go. As Kazi going to dive it back down to the bottom here in a 1 and 2 to try and take over the 29 machine of Feltman. Feltman all the way up against the wall, about as high as we've seen anybody go all race. And it's not going to work out as he tags the fence out of turn two, and Joseph Kazi now moving up to third.
Kazi's now comfortably sitting in third. He's going to try to see if he can get a good slingshot around the competition to get around Chris Vincent for second. Does a great job to put the pedal down and hold on to the bottom of the racetrack, but Vincent with that outside momentum is going to keep him there in contention for that battle for second as they go side by side, and Vincent holds on, nearly clears Joseph Kazi for that second spot.
Joseph Kazi reeling it all back in with a well-placed side draft down into turn one. Not going to be able to clear the 33 machine of Vincent. Those are going to be dead side by side down the back straightaway. But now Kazi's kind of in danger because that outside line has towed back up, gotten lined up together and organized. And now he's going to be losing a spot here to the 29 machine of Feltman and probably a spot to Heitman. No, Heitman's going to slide way up the hill through 3 and 4. And that's going to give Kazi a hole to kind of set the car back into, even though Kazi is not going to take it.
How about the run that Brandon Pescaluca has right now from the rest of the field? Over 0.3 of a second, and it's starting to break away. Now, if we can get in a little bit longer in the run where the tires start falling off, that gap can continue to extend further and further as we get closer to the end of this fuel run, which can be a lot bit different for how these drivers will be able to handle their cars.
I'll tell you what, it looks like on paper, the way things have stacked here in the OB Builders Cup Series, looks like a standout run for Brandon, but this is business as usual for that 6 machine. That cat does a great job at maintaining his equipment all the way throughout the run. Then you get to the later stages on a set of tires, and that 6 car is just all over you. Hasn't had the results to show for it here this season, but I saw it week in and week out in the ISCA and a handful of other things that we've had the opportunity to cover, and Brandon Pasalacqua definitely could be dangerous when it comes to a situation like this.
Very dangerous indeed here as they're spread about 3 and 4 wide abroad as they head down, and Vincent just hit the wall a little bit right there. We'll lose a couple of spots In fact, almost go outside the top 5 in 7th position for the moment, as here comes Joseph Gulata, who get around him for position as well. Edstrom in the hunt at the moment also.
And Edstrom bringing a friend with him too. Justin Levine about knocking the back bumper cover off of the 87 machine down the front straightaway here.
Meanwhile,
Look at the DeWalt machine right now, trying to take over the 29 machine of Feltman here through 1 and 2, side by side down the back straightaway. A little bit of a side draft, but the outside line, the draft playing so important right now for Feltman. And Kaji's going to lose a spot to Feltman as well as potentially Heitman here through 3 and 4.
So far, so good now, as here comes Heitman dropping down below the line as he tries to get a good run down to the bottom, and he will have some help from Joseph Kazi and company as they try to get around, and Heitman will get the spot ahead of Jarrett Feltman for the second spot.
And now Kazi just wants more than anything just to make it to second. He's been everywhere in the top 5 these last 10 laps, but second. And at this point, I think the best bet for Kazi would be to just kind of settle in for a couple laps, let the tires cool off so that you can have the opportunity to make more bold runs like we've seen out of the 88 machine so far. But if I know Kazi, that's probably not going to happen.
Field now tries to gather themselves back up, but we have 2 different lanes going, and a little bit of contact further back between Austin Edstrom, Paul Hill, and Gulata. As they gather it up, Gulata gets to pull away just a tick ahead of Paul Hill as Austin Edstrom drops back into the clutches of Vincent for position as they battle it out. There you see the 3 of Luke Christian just trying to hold on as he comes off turn 2, but he's got a lot of drivers barreling down on him as they enter 3.
They look at the back bumper of the 3 machine of Christian. A little bit of offset 3 wide action here through the pack. Joseph Gulata, the closest car here. Going to tuck up to that rear bumper, but I think we're kind of at that point where it's so difficult to make a pass that it's going to take a lot to get the job done here, as the tires definitely past their prime point. Look at how much the groove is widened out too. You know, we haven't really seen a whole lot of this week with all the cautions that we've seen, as we see the 87 machine of Austin Edstrom take a dive down to the inside of the 29 machine of Feltman. Feltman tags the wall out of turn 2, opening the door for Austin Edstrom, and now here comes Justin Levine all the way down against the flat through 3 and 4 and almost to the quarter panel, but not able to get the side draft. Levine going to have to settle back in behind the 29 machine of Feltman. And for the lead, here comes Derek Heitman with a deep dive down into 1 and 2.
Heitman with a big run in here as he tries to get the run going. He will complete the pass on Brandon and moves up into the race lead, but Brandon with a big run comes down and tries to see if he can get a tow and slingshot past his competitor. So far, not close enough to make anything heading into turn 3 and 4. Heitman throws the block. Joseph Kazi waits it patiently for the time being, see if he can set himself up for a run.
Spaslog was still trying to make a look to the inside, not able to find anything of it though, falling back in line behind the 76 machine here again. Kazi tucked up to the back bumper of the 6 machine. Does he go for a move here in a 1 and 2? No, he's going to let past the lock, but dive it down to the bottom. He's going to try and shoot the top to try and take that lane away from the 6 car through 1 and 2. Not able to get up to the door though. And a little bit of draft breaking here. Heitman, shades of Indianapolis here, doing everything he can to keep that 6 car at bay.
He certainly is trying to get himself rolling as they work their way through the middle of the corner off turn number 4 so far. Your top 4 all lined up nose to stern as we ride on board with what was Joseph Kazi as he tries to get himself set up for a pass for the second spot, and not able to do so as they work their way through nose to tail, and Heitman just being a little bit patient, leaves the door open for Pascaluca there for the race lead, but not able to make anything work. Joseph Kazi now shows the nose a little bit, ducks back in line. Same thing with everybody else further back. 61 laps on the board as they head down into 3 and 4 side-by-side battle for the race lead.
Does the outside line prevail here again through 3 and 4? It looks like it will, as Heitman chases the 6 machine down the track a little bit to stall a little bit of the momentum of Passalacqua. Now Heitman has the draft of Joseph Kazi to help pull him by on the straightaway. Passalacqua now toe-to-toe, side-by-side with Joseph Kazi here for second. And it looks like he's just going to be riding the train all the way back to about 4th position here as the 98 machine of Joseph Gulata trying to make the outside work past the 6. And a little bit of a bobble out of Brandon here through 1 and 2. And that's going to tuck him back in behind the 98 machine of Gulata. But now Kazi's got himself up to 2nd. And I mean, I can't think of anybody that's really been more exciting to watch make passes here this evening than that 88 machine of Kazi.
Absolutely. A lot of drivers just making sure they're being patient, not wanting to push the envelope for some of these competitors as they work their way down into the corner. So far, everyone now just setting themselves in for the long haul right now. They know we still got a lot of racing left to go. We just about to cross the halfway point here in a couple of laps time.
There we go.
So we'll see what happens as Kazi sends it into the bottom. And just as I say that, he's going to try to take over the race lead here as they head into 3 and 4.
The question is, who does Gulata go with? Looks like he's staying with the 76 machine of Heitman. Passalacqua ducking out underneath Gulata here through 3 and 4. A little bit of contact between Kazi and Heitman. Going to push Heitman up the hill ever so slightly. But it's going to stall the momentum of this first row and open the window for these guys behind him. Top line with the advantage right now. Heitman going to lead lap 63, coming to 64. Down into 1 and 2. Joseph Kazi trying to make it work on the inside. Kazi slides up the hill ever so slightly, though, and I think it's going to hurt the momentum as you see the back end start to wiggle on the 88 machine coming down the back straightaway. Derek Heitman going to stay strong here up at the point.
And caution is out.
Caution.
Jarrett Feltman dropping like a rock.
I think that would be why.
I have to agree.
Feltman was really good on the mid part of the run, but the car really seemed like it fell off like a rock as we got into the later stages. You see him come off a 2, just get loose and try to catch it, and couldn't quite catch it. We can get the on board here. That it's a wild spin there.
Big time. Was able to gather it back up, though. No significant damage, though, to his machine. So he should be good to go as we are now approaching that next round of pit stops here. How about this? The race has been kind of broken up into 30-lap stages for the most part for these drivers. So we are now at the halfway point for these drivers. So if you want to play it out right, we could probably see another pit stop around lap 90-ish. And then the last little bit right there at the end.
Yeah, well, let's hope that we don't get more cautions.
I hope not either, but we
somehow runs green to the end with no host of R-isms being brought out.
True.
Currently, Derek Heitman leading the field. Derek Heitman leading the field down pit road. You know, everybody's going to dive in here for 4 tires and fuel. Also, interesting bit of news here from the league too. They've been running unlimited tire sets here in the first 7 rounds of the season, limiting them up a little more here. This week we had 6 in the box, and I think they were talking about maybe going with less sets of tires on pit road. Derek Heitman going to win the race off pit road over Joseph Kazi, Joseph Gulata in 3rd, Brandon Passalacqua 4th, Austin Estrom 5th. 6th off pit road is going to be Paul Hill with Luke Christian, Justin Levine, Sean Conklin, and Patrick Gitter running up the top 10.
Field now works their way off onto the racetrack here. 66 laps on the board, halfway for these drivers. Overall, they've been exciting racing, though, so far, I have to say, Sheldon, with all the different lanes that each of these drivers have been utilizing, testing out here, and putting on a great show tonight at Michigan.
Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting race. A lot of close quarters racing and a lot of talent and respect being shown throughout the OB Builders Cup Series field. You know, these watch battles like this play out anywhere else, and it turns into a cautions breed caution scenario from the start of the night. These guys have done a really good job reining it in and knowing to give each other, you know, the bare minimal at the most.
Absolutely, and lights should be off on the pace car, so we're going to re-rack them and restack them and go at it once again.
Absolutely, as we watch the two machine Hyatt get his lap back here. 1 of 12 that he's got to somehow find himself back in the position of. Doesn't look like that's really going to be an opportunity here, but respect to the two machine for at least sticking it out. You never know what'll happen, especially when they're pack racing like this. You could get about 10 or 12 cars that don't end up finishing in a full season points hunt like we have here with no stages. All you got is, you know, leading the most laps, and bring home the checkered. As far as extra points go, takes a different type of driver to really be able to scrap through and grind. As the field works its way down the back straightaway into 3. Lights out on the iRacing pace car. Everybody side by side here. I bet you if you look at any of these guys on boards, most of them probably got the clutch kicked in, especially further in the back, trying to save as much fuel as they can, because we are getting to that point where pit windows could get very close.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
This car makes a steep descent down as we work into the OB Builders Cup restart zone here. Flag is in the hand. Derek Heitman to the throttle here. Good launch over Joseph Causey. Going to really stick the second row side by side here into 1 and 2.
Field now works their way down into turn 1 and 2, and we see a great hold off of the lead here for Derek Heitman. Gulata and Causey will battle for second, while Pascaluca and Edstrom sit comfortably in 4th and 5th to see what they can accomplish as they head down the back straightaway. Paul Hill with a big head of steam, trying to see if he can get his way around as Edstrom goes high, wide, and handsome.
Edstrom really making big moves here this afternoon, or this evening, coming from the tail end of the field now, side by side with Joseph Gulata down the front straightaway here at Michigan. Just almost 70 laps on the board, and now down to the bottom of the track. Here comes Joseph Causey with a last-second dive to get to the inside of Derek Heitman. Pulls a little bit of side draft. Heitman stuck on his own right now, though. Hung out to dry for a second. This will give Joseph Causey the lead. The 88 machine finally at the front, and he's been sniffing for it all night long.
He certainly has, and he will lead the charge, but here comes Pascaluca down to the inside, side-by-side battle for the race lead, and Edstrom tries to see if he can follow suit down on the bottom. Pascaluca gets a little bit loose. This allows Edstrom to work his way up the track to the outside and keep touch with the DeWalt machine of Causey, as Causey goes on the defensive, blows all the way down to the bottom.
Edstrom gives a huge shove to the back of the 6 machine at Pascaluca, then dives down to the inside of the 6 machine. Kind of playing a little bit of head games here. You know which car he's going to try and stick with. That's going to be the 88 machine right in front of him, trying to make the pass through 1 and 2. Not able to do it, though, as the 6 machine fires back up on the outside line with a lot of draft and momentum. It's going to make Edstrom have to settle back in for 3rd, and Levine's also snuck his way into the picture.
Snug as a bug in the rug.
Now for the lead to the outside, Brandon Pascaluca trying to get past the 88 machine of Joseph Causey to take the lead back, and it looks like he's going to have it here at the stripe as Causey is stuck on the inside without a helping hand anywhere to pull him back up. You just got to be careful. You got to be so defensive at the outside lane here, because as soon as you lose it, you're going backwards. Not even your friends want to work with you. As you see Levine leave Causey out to drive 2, but here comes Austin Edstrom now to the inside with a side draft and a quick flick to the bottom of the track into 3. Be door to door here through 3 and 4. Edstrom just barely edging ahead, but the momentum going to carry the 6 machine out in front.
He's going to do everything he can. Edstrom trying to hold off on the bottom of the racetrack here. So far, so good. And he will nose out, but here comes Levine with a big head of steam as we ride on board with Edstrom, watching on this battle, fighting fiercely.
And here comes Levine with a huge helping hand to the back of the 87 machine of Edstrom. Edstrom going to take the lead into 3. And it's going to stick because Pascaluca was stuck up there without a helping hand right now. Edstrom, now your race leader. From 31st to 1st.
Great run right here amongst the competitors as they work their way through, and here comes Edstrom and Levine, teammates battling it out for the race lead as we see Edstrom holding strong. Edstrom tries to get a big run down the back straightaway here. He will hold off Levine for the time being as Levine is not fading, but here comes Pascaluca down to the inside, side-by-side battle.
Lightning Levine working the outside line, trying to get past the 6 machine to Passalacqua not able to find the momentum he needs. Has to tuck back in behind the 19 car here on the front straightaway. And these two right here working together up at the front of this thing. I know it's not Daytona or Talladega, but it runs close enough like it. This could be a problem for the rest of the field as well.
It certainly can be if they're not careful. A lot of things can still happen amongst the competitors as they work their way through this. They're 3 wide, a little further back.
So I've seen a lot of Dega races that have finished with this lineup here for 1-2. As Roger Pierce, Redemption Tour not over for the 20-7 machine as you see him work himself right outside of the top 5, right behind the 98 machine of Joseph Gulata, getting past the 3 of Lou Christian here for 5th or for 6th.
He's doing everything he can at the moment to try to get a big run set up for him as he tries to fight his way back up through the field. But for the driver, as a little bit of further battles between Conklin and Chris Hudson as they snake their way down the back straightaway. But for Roger Pierce, that redemption arc still in the play.
I don't think that was an intentional snake there, though, for the 6 machine to Passalacqua, losing a handful of spots in the 3. Probably caught the fence or got loose coming out of turn 2. And unfortunately, stuck on the freight train to nowhere here as he loses out on the top 5, falling back to about 6th position here. And Roger Pierce working his way into the top 5 now, trying to take a dive to the inside of the 98 machine of Gulata through 1 and 2. Not able to quite get there, though, as Gulata tags the fence coming down the back straightaway. And Gulata side-by-side with his buddy in the 26 machine of Paul Hill.
Paul Hill gets a good run here as we watch and ride on board with briefly Roger Pierce. As Pierce gets a good run against the driver as they work their way down the front straightaway, but caught Edstrom now going on the defensive, blocking both lanes as best that he can in order to try to come out on top.
Oh yeah, trying to keep these 2 lanes side by side in the corner can make it a lot easier to hold the lead if you're Austin Edstrom. See him dive down to the bottom through 1 and 2, trying to pull that 19 back in tow with the 98. And look at that. It's going to pull them both side by side again here. Edstrom knows what he's doing.
He certainly does. He is putting on a great run at the moment as they continue to watch on, but Gulata gets a big run of steam here as they head down into the front straightaway. So far, we see Gulata get a big run as another Bigfoot sighting is happening here for that CFM machine as he gets a bit of a push there to the Stanley Tools 87 of Edstrom, pushing the driver down the front straightaway. Jonas stay tucked up behind. Down to the bottom of the racetrack, Edstrom goes. Gulata stays up towards the middle lane.
If I was Edstrom, I would not be sending it down to the bottom because you can see how big of a run, and it's not going to be enough on the bottom as this 98 machine muscles his way around to the quarter panel of Edstrom, pulls the side draft, and throws him back into the pack here. Joseph Gulata now your race leader into 3.
Big run here amongst the 2 of them as they continue to head down to the bottom of the racetrack. Roger Pierce now goes on the attack around the outside. Here comes Levine with a big run up towards the top side.
You cannot. When you got somebody that's trying to fire it around the top, man, you just got to take that line away. You can't settle in and just continue run the bottom like, we would here about 4 or 5 years ago. You've got to cover that hole. You've got to make sure that they don't get the momentum. Because once they get to your quarter panel, it is over once they throw that air on your spoiler.
It certainly is, and you've got to be careful with that as we watch these drivers battle it out. Big checkup, though, on the outside lane. Derek Heitman tries to send it 3 wide in the middle of the corner. Nose to tail, a big bobble right there by Edstrom, allowing Sean Conklin as well as Pascaluca to get to inside and outside, splitting the difference between him as they head down across the start-finish line.
Good news for Edstrom, though. Now he's worked himself up to that outside lane. He can kind of settle in and try to just defend what he's got here and hope that something big happens up here at the front. Right now, though, Roger Pierce diving down the inside of Joseph Gulata, trying to take away the lead. Not able to get the bite out of turn 2 that he needs, though. Goes up to side draft the 98 machine. Doesn't quite work, though, because Levine is there to kind of side draft himself off of. Down to 3 and 4, though. And, man, Roger Pierce just gets such a good run on that inside line.
Certainly is.
Able to, it just looks like the 27 machine's able to get just, about 4 or 5% more than anybody else around that bottom lane.
He certainly
Pierce
is.
definitely comfortable.
He's very comfortable indeed and holding strong, and is now going to challenge Gulata for the race lead. And now can he clear him off of turn number 2? Can't quite. Gulata got there a nose, inches separating them as they head down the back straightaway.
Oh, it's lap 81, but these guys making it look like it's lap 128 the way they're battling for the lead here. Neither one giving much room. Gulata going to pinch the 27 machine down the track a little bit into 3 and 4. Going to stall out the momentum of Roger Pierce here. Gulata going to hold strong for now to lead lap 82. But it ain't over yet. And here he comes with a dive down to the bottom last second. Roger Pierce sending it down into turn 1, and Levine not working with the 98 here. Going to try and work the top. Pierce not able to make it stick, though, through 1 and 2. That's going to open the door for Justin Levine to take over second spot. And now Sean Conklin going to take over third.
Here he comes. Big push happening
And
there.
here's Levine.
Levine with a big run as they work their way side by side. As they do so, it's going to be chaotic here amongst these competitors.
Oh,
and
slide
Levine completes the slide job. Conklin right there back in the hunt.
And Levine just about dead sideways in front of Gulata, going to throw the block mid-corner and take over the top spot. But here comes Sean Conklin with a side draft. It ain't over here at the front, because that 10 machine only goes one direction, and that's forward.
It certainly does. As the field works their way down across the front straightaway here, or the back straightaway, and as they come off of turn number 2, Conklin gets his nose and shuts the door in front of Gulata. Big-time checkup as Gulata tries to cross him up.
And that right there, that's not going to be a popular one from the 98 machine of Gulata, because that was a huge hit to the back of the 10 machine. That was a lot of checkup for Joseph. And Joseph going to just shoot it around the top here. Sorry, Conklin going to shoot it around the top here to try and get to the door of Levine. And it almost works, but he gets loose and about steps the car out coming out of turn 4. But now Levine hung out to dry as everybody cycles down to the bottom. See, the Victory 1 car is doing a great job working together here at Michigan.
Absolutely. Great drive here as Sean Conklin back
Oh,
up
we got
as
caution. Huge crash into turn 2.
Colby Jackson involved in another one, unfortunately.
And I think that one's going to be the icebreaker of the evening for him, because that car is pretty beat up this go around.
Yeah, significant damage there on that machine, as we will get him back rolling here and take a look at what happened.
Right here, a little bit of a checkup from the 43 machine. Tries to dive down to the inside and gets a little bit of dry cleaning service performed on him here. That's just one of those deals. Everybody's fighting with so much dirty air. 4 machine probably didn't expect Colby to make that move so late in the corner. And when you're running as close as we are here, as packed up as it is, I mean, just, one little thing can completely change the tone of your race. We're right on board with Johnson here. It's a gradual slide. There was time to react, but I don't think that knowing what the aero position is on these cars when we're packed together like that through 1 and 2, even if he was able to get to the brakes and just about park the car, that nose was still sliding up the track.
It certainly was here, and that's a tough break there for drivers such as Colby Jackson, who is having a decent run, but unfortunately will not get to continue.
As we dive down pit road here, 86 laps at the line this time. We're going to send it to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back more with the OB Builders Cup Series action here on the grid.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And welcome back to the OB Builders Cup Series on Grid Vision. I'm Sheldon Atkins, sitting here with Taylor Burris and Austin Derbyshire. Lights out on the pace car as we work our way through 3 and 4 on what I hope is the last caution of the night, because we're entering that window where it could get very dicey if we have a few more cautions and these guys are on colder tires to finish out the race.
Absolutely, and it's going to get interesting as we get closer and closer to the end, but overall, a lot of drivers have been racing each other very cleanly for the most part.
For the most part, but we are getting closer to the pay window as we work our way into the OB Builders restart zone. Green flag is in the air. Great launch from Sean Conklin, going to clear himself up to Justin Levine. Levine gets a good jump on the restart, though, as well, able to go into turn 1 without anybody really at his door, which is been a problem for some of these guys. You see Derek Heitman jockeying for position right now with the 27 of Roger Pierce, and Brandon Pasalacqua working the inside line, trying to get to the back bumper.
Getting a big run here as they head down the back straightaway. So far, these drivers are just jockeying around for position. We know we're getting close to the end here. 88 laps complete. A lot of racing still left to go for our competitors as we watch Patrick Gitter and company and several others jockey for position. But for Sean Conklin, picking up where he last left off, is a good run coming up for him as he works his way through.
And for Roger Pierce in the Colby gaming position, I'm pretty sure it's chicken jockeying for position.
Oh, big wobble right there.
Huge run through 1 and 2 for Roger Pierce. Sends it in, clearing 2 cars to take away the lead on the back straightaway from Sean Conklin. An absolute power move from Roger Pierce here, going to put him in the lead.
I don't know if y'all saw this, but Tommy Gossett nearly looped around through the middle of turn 1 and 2. He was able to save it, but still, that was so close to happen to him.
Impressive move out of Tommy to keep that car in the right direction. But that's something that we've seen, and I like to give everybody their flowers when they've earned them here in the booth, and that's one driver that I got to give some to. Tommy, man, last year was a very Jekyll and Hyde situation. He was either winning or running up front or bringing home the steering wheel. And this season, it just seems like he's really dialed in on racecraft and car control. It's an entirely different Tommy Gossett. And I'll tell you what, love to see it up here in the booth.
Yeah,
always good to see old teammates out here running good. See them. A little bit of jogging back there. Edstrom all over the place in the back. Right now, Roger Pierce looking like the Pied Piper here at Michigan, with everybody following him here down the front straightaway. A little bit of spread in a 1 and 2 as you see the 26 machine of Paul Hill try to get to the inside of Brandon Pasalacqua. A little bit further back, Justin Levine trying to work to the inside of Patrick Gitter, with couple cars to help him here if he can ever get Edstrom to pull his head out of the clouds to get to his back bumper.
He's going to try his best to as they work their way through side-by-side battle for position. A little further back as they're 2x2 outside the top 10, but right now everyone's just trying to get themselves situated for this final stage of the race. 92 laps on the board as we watch Levine and company trying to find their way through. The door is shut on him, though, as they come across the driver of Derek Heitman, but Roger Pierce back up to the front of the field.
I'll tell you what, Pierce is going to be a hard pass, especially after what happened to him last night in NIS, getting intentionally dumped from the lead. I mean, that's if there's anything that makes you want to give everybody in the field absolutely no opportunities, it's a situation like that. And to be able to get the job done on a stage as big as the OB Builders Cup Series would probably be a great way to start the healing process for Roger Pierce. And also, if you would like to see the dumbest move I've seen in my entire life, it is clipped on the Grid Vision Twitch. So be sure to check that out at some point here. And also, you know, drop a follow. Help us work our way into the whole affiliate process over there.
Absolutely. A lot of great racing action on Grid Vision that you can catch here, and also some great events that we'll have coming up here in the near future.
Absolutely. As we look right now, just a single file train up here at the front of the pack. A little bit of battling happening a little bit further in the pack, though. 3 wide. Looks like car to the inside of Lou Christian. And the 29 machine of Jared Feltman trying to recover after the incident earlier. Feltman now shooting the middle. A little bit of contact from the 18 machine. Just about sends the 29 machine around down the back straightaway, but able to keep it straight. Going to take over a couple spots here, but still looking at the front of the pack. Roger Pierce holding off Brandon Pasalacqua, but here comes Pasalacqua trying to work the outside line. The same move that we've seen be so successful for so many other guys, not working as well against Roger Pierce, though, because it just looks like Roger Pierce is cooking on the bottom lane.
Real good fighting up around the field here as they try to find the openings they need as they work their way down through the middle of the racetrack of turn 1 and 2. It's Trims really only side by side, and then we have another couple of others there with Tommy Gossett trying to work his way up around Matt DiCiani.
Gossett not able to find the momentum he needs, though. Tucks back in line, trying to find the draft to keep him relevant here to make another stab at it in a couple corners. As we see a battle for second starting to shake up. Paul Hill, haven't talked about him a whole lot in the 26 machine, but he's been around the fight since the drop of the green flag. Got a CFM Chevrolet looking pretty stout out here as he's got a helping hand right behind him in Joseph Gulata.
Absolutely.
Patrick Gitter back in the mix as well in 5th. It's crazy how the cream always rises at the top here, isn't it?
It really is, and it's amazing of how well it happens as our producer is trying to bring out his amazing Macho Man Randy Savage voiceover.
Honestly, we just get him in the booth to cover this as Macho Man. That'd be pretty cool.
I would say it would be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Right now, single file progression down the back straightaway. The first car trying to make a move is Derek Heitman to the inside of Paul Bergoli. Not able to make it happen, though. Going to tuck back in the line behind the 12 machine. Cut through 1 and 2. Patrick Gitter working the top of the track. Matt DiCiani. I haven't mentioned his name a single time today. Here he is, sitting in 6th position. And that just seems like every week. With DiCiani, you don't talk about him the first 3 quarters of the race, and then you get that last stint, that last run, and that 5 machine, it's just like he flips the switch.
Certainly is the case here, and he's able to put on a good run through the field, and so far not going to work out for him at the time being, but DiCiani's going to be comfortably able to work his way up and maybe have a shot of a top 5 finish before it's all said and done.
Look at him running all the way down there to the yellow line. Getting those left side tires on the paint. Trying to get that little extra bit of grip out of the left side tires here. Save the car from having to make as much work on the right side. Save those right sides ever so slightly. I know we haven't talked about tire wear much here today, but it is definitely a factor here at Michigan. I mean, the track is so flat, so easy to burn those right rears off.
Very easily.
Right now, Roger Pierce definitely the happiest with the balance of his car as he sits up here at the front of the pack. No need to worry about the dirty air. And coming to the stripe here to take lap 100. Say one thing, he's definitely wishing that this thing was NIS length right now.
He certainly is.
This should be the white flag. It was NIS, but nah, man, we still got another A fix to go.
We certainly do, and that's going to be critical for these drivers here. They really have to realize they got to settle in. They got a lot of racing still left to do, and a lot of different strategies come into play for each and every single one of them.
Hopefully none of those strategies involve a caution.
Hopefully. I would hope,
That's
hopefully not.
That's what I'm hoping and praying for right now.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, if another one gets stolen from Pierce, I'm going to cry for him. Be right there.
We're all right there for you.
Nobody really being too aggressive right now. I was expecting a lot more chaos here in the closing laps. But everybody just kind of tucking together here as we got a little bit of action happening into 1 and 2. Around the outside, here comes Paul Hill making a power move around the 6 machine of Passalacqua, and it's going to stick. He's up to second place, and now Brandon hung out to dry as the CFM teammates work the outside lane. Here comes Joseph Gulata and the Bigfoot machine trying to get past. Along with Patrick Gitter.
Yeah, Patrick Gitter trying to find himself a run at the moment, and so far not working out for his availability as he sits fourth. Still got a lot of racing left to go as he tries to find an opening. A couple of other drivers going to dive it down to the bottom, almost going 3 and 4 wide. A couple of drivers have to check up because of that, but they're able to continue on.
And now Sean Conklin making a move to the inside of Matt DiCiani to try and take over 6th position. DiCiani going to hold tight on the outside line, though, take away the line, take the momentum in the draft at the same time, and he's going to at least carry it down to 3 and 4. But here comes Sean Conklin with a deep dive down to the bottom and a huge slide job. But here comes DiCiani down to the bottom. Is he going to be able to get the side draft? Yes, he is. But I think the actual draft is going to outweigh the side draft here, and DiCiani now going to be hung out to dry as Joseph Kazi comes up to the back bumper of the 10 machine to push him down the front straightaway.
Big run here coming for him as they head down into 1 and 2. And I got to say, DiCiani's making a big run up through the field as he tries to get the run going with that momentum. But how about Sean Conklin also in the hunt as well?
DiCiani going to lose a handful of spots here as Tommy Gossett now gets to the outside. Difficult position to be in right there. Just stuck on the bottom. No, you got a fast car, and everybody blows by it because they have that helping hand of draft. Pulling back as you see Passalacqua trying to fight with it. Here comes a dive down to the inside from Conklin. Passalacqua almost got the block off, but wasn't able to steal the momentum of the 10 machine as Sean Conklin dives it down into 1 and 2, and he's going to blow the doors off the 6 machine and get side by side with Patrick Gitter out of turn 2.
Certainly is, and he's going to make that big run as they come down the back straightaway, side nose to tail. With 3 wide action a little further back amongst them.
Just barely able to clear. That's going to be enough to save the 10 machine's momentum and the forward progress here. Now he's able to get down to the inside of the 21 of Patrick Gitter, and a huge slide job. He's going to get it, though. Sean Conklin here in the closing laps up to 4th. Now he's got to work past 2 teammates here in a 1 to the inside of the 98 machine of Gulata. And he's going to get Gulata and potentially Paul Hill. Yes, he does, out of turn 2. And a little bit of contact between Hill and Gitter coming down the back straightaway. But now Roger Pierce is going to have to start sweating because he's got Sean Conklin behind him. And Sean Conklin going for, I think it's 5 in a row here.
He is certainly trying to do that here, and it is going to be a close call indeed amongst them as they head down across the front straightaway, across the line. 25 laps to go.
Joseph Causey tags the fence in the middle of the straightaway here. So he just decided he wanted to do that. Now Patrick Gitter making a dive to the inside of Brandon Passalacqua through 1 and 2. Not able to make it stick, though. Passalacqua going to use that top line draft to pull him ahead. Or Patrick Gitter. Now Gitter falling into the clutches of a handful of other cars where he finally gets a helping hand from the 88 machine of Joseph Causey. And for the lead, Sean Conklin with a deep dive down to 3, going to steal it away from Roger Pierce.
How about this as they make the run down across the front straightaway into turn 1 and 2, nose to tail amongst them. It is incredible to see how this all plays out amongst them. And so far, Roger Pierce. And how about this? There's the driver of not Joseph Cully, but of course, the driver Tommy Gossett with a big head of momentum on the outside lane.
Tommy Gossett trying to sneak his way into the picture here into the closing laps. Up to 9th right now. Is he going to be able to find his way into this top 5? Oh, Roger Pierce just about loses it in front of Gulata in 3 and 4. Now they're side by side, a little bit of contact on the front straightaway. Roger Pierce going to chase him all the way down to the grass with a side draft. And these two just about wrecking each other as now Roger Pierce is locking bumpers with the 98 machine of Gulata into 1.
He's doing everything in his power to have this run that he needs in order to make it stick for him around the circuit. So far, not going to work out at the moment, but he is really putting the effort in amongst these competitors.
That's going to be Joseph Gulata versus Conklin up here at the point of the field. You see Justin Levine take a deep dive down into turn 3 to try and get past the 27. Not able to get it, though. The top line momentum going to pull Roger Pierce around the door of the 19 machine. And now Levine, no help on the inside line, no draft to speak of. Going to have to tug back in line between him and Tommy Gossett. But now Gossett going to try to fight down to the inside, because Gossett has worked his way into the top 5 here. Pretty wide battle through 1 and 2. Favor going to the 19 machine of Justin Levine down the back straightaway. Roger Pierce going to tuck in line again. And all Roger Pierce wants to do is get another chance at that lead, get to the back bumper of the 10 of Sean Conklin. But 2 difficult passes to make to get the job done. And now Joseph Gulata ducks down to the inside to try and get past Sean Conklin. Not able to make anything of it here this go-around, though. Now going to work the top, try to get a little bit more momentum over the 10 machine through 1 and 2. Try and get that slingshot down the back straightaway. Not able to find the run, though.
No, he's not. He is kind of stuck in a holding pattern right now as we watch and right on board with Gulata with that big run. And as we're on watching here, Conklin, Pierce, and Levine all trying to find a way to get it back around for the chance of taking over the straight lead here. Side by side, Levine gets a big push there to Gulata, and Gulata does not win that race as they come across the start-finish.
No, but they still got to make it down to 1 and 2, but way low on the track. It's going to be a difficult fight. Gulata able to edge ahead of Sean Conklin into turn 1. Is he going to be able to complete the slide job? Yes, ever so slightly, but a huge push to the back of the 98 machine from the 10 of Sean Conklin. Down to 3. Now Gulata, your race leader. Here comes Justin Levine trying to make something work against the 10. Through 3 and 4. Not able to get to the outside of Sean Conklin here, though. Conklin will get back to the back bumper of the 98 machine here at the start-finish line, but Joseph Gulata going to lead lap 112.
Going to do that here as they work their way across the front stretch. Ooh, big wobble right there for a couple of drivers as they head down into the corner. They're able to gather it back up and continue on their way.
Tell you what, we've made it 30 laps, or somewhere in that window. And based on the trends of the race, I mean, you know that something might be brewing here, especially as we get into the pay window. What are you expecting, Taylor?
I'm expecting a little bit more drivers get a loosey-goosey feeling here as they try to get themselves ready to go for this run. As we see Edstrom and Causey getting a little bit loose together as they work their way across the front straightaway. But so far, everyone here is just trying to get themselves organized, lined up, and ready for that final push.
You're not seeing double. Edstrom said, I want to copy your homework, and Causey said, sure, just don't make it too obvious.
I mean, that was pretty close, I have to say.
And now for the lead again, Sean Conklin to the inside here, trying to make the pass on Joseph Gulata. Justin Levine going to go with Conklin, give him a huge push into 3. Contact a little bit further in the back of the pack, though. Gossett making contact with Causey. But Sean Conklin, now your race leader.
Conklin gets a good run here as he holds on. Gulata trying to find which way he needs to make it work for him as they head down into the turn 1 section. So far, Gulata and Levine still holding strong, but there is still a lot of racing action left.
Oh, and Gossett. Gossett with a crazy send down into 1, going to pick off a handful of spots here. Not able to make it stick, though. Wasn't able to find the hole. But he picked up about 4 positions there momentarily through 1 and 2. And, of course, unfortunately losing them all because he didn't have a helping hand to get the job done. But, man, hats off to Gossett for trying to make the impossible possible and just about made it work.
He's certainly trying every which way he can and make it work for him as they head down into the corner. And so far, it's now back to single file. A couple of drivers trying to space themselves out just a little bit in order to have themselves ready for a run.
Laps winding down. Oh, contact. Gossett gets up into the door. Paul Hill tried to come up off the wall, was about to hit it out of turn 2, and grabs the whole front clip of the 17 machine and almost runs with it down the back straightaway. A lot of going to tag the fence out of turn 4, trying to follow in the tire tracks of Sean Conklin. Justin Levine going to give him a little bit of a helping push down into 1. And oh, a little bit of a push in the center of 1. Gulata tries to lift the back tires of the 10 machine up into 1. Doesn't really work, though.
No, it's not working out for him like we expected him to as they work their way through so far. Not going to come into fruition for these drivers as they head down into turn 3 and 4, but Conklin just being ready for the attack as they head down into the corner.
And Gulata is slideways right now.
Big time slideways.
Guys just giving it everything they have. Just shy of that 10 lap to go window here. 14 laps left after a grueling 117 that we've already knocked off here. I'll tell you what, the physical fatigue may not be the biggest thing here at Michigan, like we've seen in some of the more abrasive tracks, but the mental exhaustion after you finish a race here. Because every second of every lap, you're having to calculate every move, what every car around you is doing.
As we watch on, Conklin and Gulata are battling it out, though. Levine is trying to hold off a hard-charging Derek Heitman, who is putting all kinds of pressure on him as they work their way through the middle of the corner. So far, it may not come to play as we see Heitman now put the pressure on. He'll look to the inside, side-by-side battle for third. Heitman tries to work his way up in front across the nose. Levine gets a little bit loose, still trying to battle for that race car. And as we keep an eye, Heitman doing everything he can to hold on. It's still quite a bit of racing left, but he is trying to find his way. Coming to 10 laps to go next time by as Heitman now moves up to P2. Beautiful pass here as they're going to have to work their way down the back straightaways, nose to tail. Levine tries to poke his nose out with help from Edstrom to see if they can get around the driver of Joseph Gulata as they send it in deep down to the bottom of the racetrack, side by side, not close enough to make anything work as Levine gets a little bit loose. Tommy Gossett comes into play as Gulata loses a little bit of control of that race car. They'll now work their way across the field. 10 laps to go for our competitors as we have a lot of racing left to go amongst them as they head down across the front straightaway, side nose or back straightaway now as they work their way through. Gulata shows the nose to the inside of Levine, side by side. Edstrom gets a tow from the help of Gossett and Levine as the battle for the race lead starts to heat up a little bit more as Derek Heitman tries to find the opening he needs as we see behind of Kazi and Paul Hill jockeying for position. Great racing action in the closing stages here as the victory one of Sean Conklin, the DS of Derek Heitman, and the one sim, as well as the CFM Motorsports machine are all right there in contention as the Mid-South Alabama native of Austin Edstrom sits in the catbird seat ready to take the fight to either one of these drivers should there be a mistake. Big slide right there by Levine. He hits the wall off turn number 4. This allows Edstrom to pick up a spot. Tommy Gossett also gets around. A lot of racing still left to go, but it's going to get exciting. It all comes down to this as the caution comes out in the final stages here. Greg Carr loops it around on the front straightaway. Tough break here for Greg Carr as we see the replay as might have had a little bit of help right there from the 28 machine, Tim Wortman Jr. Let's take a look at another angle of the replay. Oh, it all started when the 45 of Chad Kibbe comes across the nose of the 25, having him to check up, and of course for Wortman had nowhere to go. With that, we're going to take one final commercial break here as the field works their way around under caution. It's going to be exciting here. You don't want to miss the final closing laps. Under 10 to go here for the OB Builders Cup Series from Michigan, only on Grid Vision.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Grid Vision's coverage of the OB Builders Cup Series as we are here live from Michigan International Speedway. Taylor Burris here along with Sheldon Atkins and our producer Austin Derbyshire. We're here to give you the final 5 laps left to go here in this event. And it's been an exciting one all season day long for these drivers as they were continuing to put on a great show before we were under caution here for this most recent event. Field now is getting set to go racing. We'll give you a quick rundown of your top 10 as Sean Conklin, Derek Heitman, Austin Edstrom, Joseph Kazi, and Justin Levine, your top 5. Gulata, Pierce, Pascaluca, Paul Hill, and Luke Christian, your top 10. A lot of things up for grab, points up for grab for each and every single one of these drivers here as they get themselves ready to go racing once again. And who can come out on top? Sean Conklin has been on a strong tear for the most part this season, looking to continue that run for him as he tries to pick up some more wins and gain some more shots at a chance of a championship later on this season, as we watch and wait with anticipation to see how it all plays out amongst these drivers heading down into the restart zone. Green flag in the air from Barney the Flag Man, and we're back underway. Everyone gets a nice clean start here as they head off, but Sean Conklin checks out on the competition as they head down across the front straightaway. So far, so good for each and every single one of these competitors as they head down into turn number 1, side by side for second between Edstrom and Derek Heitman as these two battle it out for position. And as they do so, here comes Joseph Kazi and Gulata. Heitman throws the block. He's going to try to play both sections of the racetrack here to see how it all plays out. So far, it's going to be intense between the two competitors as they head down 3 wide between the two Stanley Toyotas and Golata as they work their way through. Here comes the Mac Tool of Justin Levine and Roger Pierce on a redemption tour as he tries to get himself situated for a big run. But so far, Heitman puts all kinds of pressure on the driver of Sean Conklin.
Oh, and sliding up the track, Kazi loses the nose a little bit underneath the 98 machine of Gulata. Really going to hurt the momentum here as you see Edstrom try to pull a side draft to bring that 98 machine back to him, but Edstrom now stuck on that inside line with nowhere to go. But these guys keep racing back here for third, and this is just opening up the gap here for your leaders with Sean Conklin and Derek Heitman slowly starting to slip away from the pack.
Absolutely, and a really good fight here amongst the competitors as they work their way through across the front straightaway. So far, these drivers are really pushing the envelope with 3 laps to go.
Look, right now, Sean Conklin doing everything he can to try and break the draft to the 76 machine of Derek Heitman. It's working moderately.
So far, so good.
As we look at the back mirror, or the back window here of Sean Conklin, and no more, the producer says. But we take 2 laps to go. Sean Conklin in charge over Derek Heitman, Joseph Gulata in third. Everybody's single filed up right now, trying to figure out how to mount that last second charge to get to the outside of the 10 machine to potentially blow his doors off.
Blow the doors off indeed here, as there is still quite a bit of racing left to go amongst them as they set themselves up for a run as they head down into turn 3 and 4. Conklin just has to be on the defensive to try to hold off the hard charge of Heitman right there. Gulata right in the hunt as well.
Getting aboard with Heitman now out of turn 4. Trying to build that run. White flag in the air. 1 more lap to go here in Michigan. Does anybody have what it takes to get by Sean Conklin? It looks like Heitman's going to try to make a stab at it here. And a 1, a little bit of contact. The 2 leaning on each other through 1 and 2. Is that going to open the door for Gulata?
3 wide, a little bit of contact, and there goes Heitman down to the bottom. Edstrom puts the bumper to Gulata right there as he tries to get a spot away with Roger Pierce with a head of steam.
Through 3 and 4 for the final time. It all comes down to this. Sean Conklin trying to hold the advantage and looks like he's going to do it out of turn 4 because I don't know if there's going to be a run for Gulata. Not quite. Gulata looks to the bottom. And Sean Conklin's going to cover it. Huge block. Looking to the top. And Sean Conklin is going to win here at Michigan. What a finish.
Absolutely incredible fight here amongst these drivers. Really great, clean racing as well towards the end.
Sean Conklin getting it done here in Motor City. As we look at the replay here. And Gulata tries building that run through 3 and 4, and it just was not quite enough. Needed a little bit of help. Needed to get to the quarter panel. Looks down to the bottom, gets denied, and at the stripe, about 1/10 of a second, it falls into the hands of Sean Conklin here.
It certainly does, but how about that fight right there amongst them? Really good showing amongst the competitors, and I'm excited to see how it all plays out.
I just have to say, man, it's 5 in a row here for Sean Conklin.
It is 5 in a row, and he is looking to continue another dominant year for him in 2025.
I wonder if the guys in charge over here are going to start talking about bounties, because he's definitely stinking up the show here in the OB Builders Cup, well, as well as NIS, and anything you put the driver behind the wheel of that 10 machine in, because Sean Conklin, you know, young driver, but so talented beyond his years here on iRacing.
Absolutely, very talented driver who is definitely going to be one to watch as we progress throughout the rest of 2025.
As we look at the unofficial results here, Sean Conklin brings it home with Joseph Gulata in second. Roger Pierce bringing home third. Austin Edstrom just barely missing the interview. Probably didn't want to talk to me tonight anyway. Bringing home fourth, followed by Derek Heitman, Paul Hill, Tommy Gossett, Justin Levine, Joseph Kazi, and Patrick Gitter rounding out your top 10.
Moving on into P11 is Chris Davis, followed by Luke Christians, Brandon Paskaluska in 13th, Josh Schaffner 14th, Chris Hudson and Matt DeCiani in 15th and 16th, Paul Bergoli, Brian Johnson, Chris Vincent, and Randy Belk round out your top 20.
And bringing it home, 21st is going to be Jarrett Feltman, followed by John Bender. 23rd is going to go to Tim Wortman Jr., Alexander Carr bringing home 24th. 25th, Shane Clore, followed by Chad Kibbe, Richard Kleiman, Greg Carr, Chris Crosby, Joshua Hyatt round the top 30. And then rounding out the field is going to be Colby Jackson, Paul Gallimore, Darren Mullins and Adam Benefiel. Well, I tell you what, Taylor, we saw just about a little bit of everything here from Michigan. What'd you think of the race here as we
saw
ready to wind down?
We saw an absolute amazing barn burner of event from start to finish amongst these drivers here. We saw multiple different drivers work their way up through the field from start to finish. You never know who is going to come out on top, but for Sean Conklin, definitely the driver to keep an eye on, as we are now should be joined by our finishers in third place, Mr. Roger Pierce.
Absolutely. And sitting down here with Roger Pierce, man, you were so close to the redemption arc here tonight. Led a handful of laps, just not at the right time, unfortunately. Walk me through it, man.
Oh, redemption arc is no joke, brother. Yeah, just burn the stuff off. I was fine. When I grab your right rear, it kind of just makes you tight. So I was battling tight up until that last caution came out. But man, car was great. I love this track. Everyone hates it. I love it. It fits my style. Just absolutely full send.
No, you've definitely shown us a bunch of impressive moments here the past couple days, and unfortunately heartbreaking too. I'm sure you probably put a little bit more weight on the shoulders here after the way you got absolutely murdered last night in NIS. I will say no more about that, but put a little extra prep in for it today, or did you just wind her up and let her go?
Well, I ran NIS and I got wrecked at the end. We were sitting top 10 and got wrecked. Finished like top 25th or something like that. So, and then after that, I watched tires, and prepped that way. Laughed my ass off and got ready for the race and just kind of chilled out. No prep, man. No prep.
Oh man, you definitely did a good job tonight, and just looking forward. I know that win for you in this series is coming. I know it's brewing. So just hang tight. Don't give up. But
Pocono's coming. Pocono's coming.
Yeah,
Richmond
is coming.
I like those tracks, so we'll see. But yeah, it's coming. It's coming soon.
And you definitely, from what we saw last year in NIS coverage, you definitely knock it out at both of those places. So looking forward to seeing that. But beside that, man, third place finish tonight. It's so hard to get through here, so definitely kind of a win in its own right. Who all do you want to thank and shout out for your performance?
Oh, first off, Victory 1, Ryko, right? Put hours and hours into these sets, and it shows here. I mean, look at the top 10. I want to say 7 out of the 10 are on Ryko sets, so it just shows. Obviously, OB Builders League, they're putting on a hell of a league. It's really fun to run. I got invited here from Tommy because I didn't have any leagues to run and wanted something new to do, so I appreciate that. You guys for the broadcast. New sponsor on the car, Colby Gaming, Fortnite. He's going to be opening up his channel, so we offered to put his logos on there, and I think it's a sweet looking scheme, having fun with that. So, but we'll be back with the Cat Thompson and the Send Credit Union before long. So appreciate y'all and appreciate everyone in the league, and it was fun racing.
Before you go, how many V-Bucks are you making off of that partnership there?
I don't play Fortnite, brother.
I was giving you a hard time, man.
OG Fortnite came out.
Yeah. I dove back into it here in the past year or so, and it's gotten a little bit better than it was there for a bit. It still has its moments at the end of the build where it's terrible. But anyway, thanks for stepping up here in the booth with us this evening, and looking forward to seeing what you put to the track next week.
All right, brother. Thanks.
Now I'm going to hand it over to Taylor Burris with our second place finisher, Joseph Gulata, if I can find him, and it doesn't appear that he's in the chat here, so I'm going to hand it over to Taylor Burris with the man, the myth, the dominator, the legend himself, Sean Conklin.
Well, we are here with a Mr. Multi-time winner this season, Joseph Goulat, or actually Sean Conklin. Sean, it seems like this year for you is just full of surprises. Each time we see you out here on the track, you're always finding your way up towards the front of the field and picking off where you left off with another win.
Yeah, thank you. It was a good race. Really like this track. I've always liked this track. It's definitely one of my favorites. It's been not quite the best in officials, so it was good to get some good green flag runs here. I was hoping we could have some longer ones. Definitely had a lot of green flag run pace to show off there at the end, but we didn't quite get to show all of it. So wish we could have went a little bit longer on some of those runs, but definitely glad with the racing product that we got tonight.
Absolutely, Sean. You were able to put on some stellar fights here. And even though you fell back a little bit here and there during the race, you were able to come out with a strong performance to take home the checker flag. Is there anyone else you would like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'd like to give out a shout out to the sponsors on the car. We got Best One, Reiko, Randy Bell Construction, Gossett, and just all the guys that spent countless hours again this week on this setup. It's a weekly effort, week in, week out, to make these setups where they are and be able to show what they have on the long run. Means a lot. It's really cool that we can come out here and do this, especially in this league. So I want to give a shout out to all the league organizers, Randy, and all the admins that put this stuff on, and you guys in the broadcast for showing it off. So yeah, that's about it.
Absolutely. Well, this is your race winner for the OB's Builders Cup Series here at Michigan, Sean Conklin with Victory 1.
What a great performance. What a great, honestly, I mean, Michigan has been a very rough one this week. Everywhere that I put my eyes, and it's definitely good to see these guys get a good, clean race in here tonight. Any final takeaways there, Taylor?
I mean, no surprise from Sean Conklin what he was able to accomplish here. Even though at times you think maybe he's not going to be able to win this one, he always finds his way up towards the front of the field before it's all said and done. A lot of things also to keep in mind. A lot of different drivers have a lot of pace here. We saw that from Derek Heitman. We saw that from Paul Hill, Tommy Gossett. All of them just finding their way up towards the end. It's absolutely incredible.
Absolutely. Well, from the entire Grid Vision team, we'd like to thank you for watching and participating in the chat. More information on getting your league broadcasted or starting your career in broadcasting, contact us on Facebook, X, or email us at info@gridvision.live. Special thanks to Andrew Cardinal of Whiplash Sim Cams for providing the cams used on today's broadcast. As well, congratulations to Sean Conklin on winning tonight's race here from Michigan. This has been Sheldon Atkins. I've been sitting here in the booth side by side with Taylor Burris and Austin Derbyshire down in the truck. We will see you next time on the grid.